Good morning. So today we are going to learn a few literary devices from the poem If, starting with imagery. So we all know what imagery is. Imagery is a literary device that a writer employs in his writing in order to attract readers towards the work. So imagery is a literary device that uses vivid and descriptive language to create mental images. So what is imagery? It's a literary device that uses clear and descriptive language so as to create mental images in the mind of the reader. There are different kinds of imageries. First one, visual. Second, auditory. Third, olfactory. Fourth, gustatory. Fifth, tactile. Sixth, kinesthetic. Now we all know that we have five senses. We have eyes, which we can use to see. We have ears, which we can use to hear. We have nose, which we can use to smell. We have tongue, which we can use to taste. We have skin, which we can use to get to know the sensation of touch. And these five senses play a key role when we learn imagery. Because in visual imagery, what do you really do? When you read a line from a poem or a prose, if you are able to sense the sight using your eyes in your mind, this is an example of visual imagery. So when you read a line, you are able to see something in your mind. It's an example of visual imagery. When you read a line, you can hear sounds in your mind. It's an example for auditory imagery. When you read a line, you can get the smell of something in your mind. It's example for olfactory imagery. When you read a line, you get the taste of a thing in your mind. It's example for gustatory imagery. When you touch something, and in your mind you get the sensation of touching something, it's an example of tactile imagery. So you read a line and you get the sensation of touching a thing. It's an example of tactile imagery. And last, you have kinesthetic imagery. Kinesthetic is a different kind of imagery. If you are able to see movement of anything, for example, the leaves moving about in air. Most often you might see dried leaves swirling in wind. So again you have there an example for kinesthetic imagery, the movement of leaves, dried leaves in the air, probably moving in a particular way, like swirling, is an example of kinesthetic imagery. So I hope you understood what imagery is and what are the different types of imagery. In order to understand different types of imagery, you need to explore the five senses. You know the five senses? That with your eyes you see, right? So like that here, what you see becomes visual imagery. What you hear becomes auditory. The sound that you hear becomes auditory. When you read a line, you get the sensation of any kind of sound. That can be loud, that can be meek, that can be even voiceless or silent, then becomes auditory imagery. When you read a line, you get the smell of something. It can be a good odor, it can be a bad odor, but then you get a smell of something, it's olfactory. When you get the taste of something, good or bad, it is gustatory. When you are able to feel about any kind of thing being touched, then that's an example for tactile. And finally, kinesthetic, where you experience the movement of things. It's example for kinesthetic imagery. Hope it is clear. Thank you. The next important